Beyond the serene image of painters and poets, 15th-century Florence operated as a cutthroat political laboratory where massive banking wealth collided with street-level violence. The historian Jacob Burckhardt noted that Florence survived on manufactured constitutions. Instead of relying on ancient, unquestioned traditions, the city was constantly rewriting its laws, tearing down its government, and experimenting with new systems of rule. This constant upheaval bred a fierce, deeply ingrained individualism among the citizens. Florentines were intensely protective of their public honor, harboring a systemic, almost violent hatred for anyone attempting to behave like a king. To survive this environment, the Republic's political machinery utilized short-term limits and overlapping councils. This design aimed to prevent a single person from taking control, making Florence the single most difficult city in Europe to govern. When the unofficial leader of the city, Cosimo de' Medici, died in 1464, a massive crisis erupted. As you can see from this bronze portrait, Cosimo wore a flat cloth cap rather than a crown. He was legally an ordinary citizen. Because his power relied on informal alliances and banking credit, there was no guaranteed line of succession. Power transitions stress test a republic. The moment Cosimo died, rival families saw their chance. A group led by Luca Pitti immediately launched a conspiracy to strip the Medici of their influence, targeting Cosimo's sickly son, Piero. Piero managed to survive the plot and suppress his rivals, but he only lived for another 5 years. When he died, the entire burden of keeping the family alive in this hostile environment fell to his 20-year-old son, Lorenzo. This was Lorenzo's dilemma. He had to command a city of hyper-competitive political geniuses without having any legal authority to do so. Lorenzo understood his constraints. In Florence, the behavior of a tyrant or a reliance on brute military force guaranteed immediate exile. Instead, he embraced the concept of l'uomo universale, the all-sided, universal man. If he couldn't demand obedience by law, he had to earn respect by mastering every facet of human intellect. His family had prepared him for this. Lorenzo studied classical literature and philosophy, wrote poetry, and learned the gritty mechanics of international banking. This combination of high culture and practical street smarts allowed him to outmaneuver both local merchants and foreign diplomats. He secured a strategic marriage to Clarice Orsini. The Medici were commoners, but Clarice belonged to the powerful Roman aristocracy. This built a protective diplomatic ring around the family. An internal attack by a Florentine rival now risked provoking the noble houses of Rome. Lorenzo engineered a public persona that established his social and diplomatic superiority, even as he remained a legal equal to his fellow citizens. Culture became his primary tool for public relations. Lorenzo funded scholars, wrote poetry, and poured money into elaborate public festivals and tournaments. By financing these moments of collective joy and supporting immense architectural beauty like the city's cathedral, he ensured that whenever citizens felt pride in Florence, they associated that identity with the Medici name. Meanwhile, political control operated beneath the surface. Lorenzo allowed the Republic's voting committees to debate normally, but his web of bank loans secretly guided their members. This dual-layer system gave citizens the illusion of autonomy while ensuring their final decisions aligned with his interests. Lorenzo replaced rigid constitutional law with a system built on social engineering and calculated influence. To historians like Burckhardt, this was the modern state emerging as a work of art, a structure defined by deliberate calculation rather than feudal accident. This delicate balancing act produced a legendary golden age for Florence. Lorenzo proved that a sufficiently brilliant, culturally dominant individual could successfully manage a society of fiercely independent thinkers. But this shadow republic contained a fatal structural flaw. Because it bypassed the actual laws of the state, it relied entirely on Lorenzo's specific charisma. It lacked any true institutional permanence. When Lorenzo died at 43, the invisible threads holding the system together snapped. Without his mediating presence, the political balance lost its anchor, making way for foreign invasions and the rise of religious radicals like Savonarola. A crown or a constitution matters less than the person who can master a society's culture and control its networks. In Florence, the most enduring power belonged to the man who made himself indispensable.